Come along because today we're going to refinish a very special piece of furniture. This is my own dresser that I've had since I was 16 years old. I thought, what better send-off than to use it to make a tutorial on painting furniture using a spray gun. I'll walk you through step by step, so if you've never done this before, by the end of this video, you're going to be able to go to your local hardware store, get everything you need, and get to work. First things first, clean and scuff sand everything. Here I'm using an orbital sander with a 120 grit sanding pad. You just want everything to be dull. Don't worry about getting a finish off if it's still intact. These interface pads are great for sanding curved surfaces, and for the really detailed stuff, these hand sanding blocks make really quick work of any kind of funky shapes you might have. One tip I wish I'd known when I started: put some screws to plug the holes in the drawers. It keeps the paint from getting through, and it gives you a handle so you can pull the drawer out while it's still wet. Okay, first let's talk about primer. So I've used everything from the top tier Sherwin-Williams stuff to the $20 a gallon slop they have at Lowe's or Home Depot. And I don't really have a strong preference either way, except if you're painting something a lighter color, splurge for the better primer with stain blocking. Be sure to strain your paint. It gets out any chunks so they don't end up in your finish. These strainers were $7 from Harbor Freight. I also like these disposable paint bags. It just makes cleanup easier and keeps you from having to wash as much paint down your drain. Do a couple test sprays. It should come out evenly, not splotchy, blotchy, or too light. This is one of those things you just gotta learn by feel, but thinning and straining your paint is gonna give you the best shot at a smooth finish. This gun has a dial to let you use more or less paint based on your test spray pattern. So if it comes out too blotchy, too heavy, dial it back a little bit. If it comes out too light, dial it up. Now, I mentioned splurging for a better primer if you're using a light paint. This is where you're gonna start to see if that was necessary. So wood tannins, knots, even nicotine can come through as ugly brown yellow stains like these if you don't have a good stain blocking primer. If you're putting like a white or light paint over it, it's gonna bleed through. I normally paint with my drawers in place and then just paint the edges with a brush after. Primer also shows you any dents, chips, imperfections that might have been hard to see before. I like Bondo spot filler for these small places. That's what all these red spots are. Air compressors are great for blowing off sanding dust, but a wet rag or tack cloth works great too. 1 or 2 mil plastic sheeting works for keeping your walls free of paint. I reuse mine until this starts to happen. Once it gets too many layers of paint on it, the tape can't hold it up anymore, it's too heavy. Then I'll throw it out, get some fresh ones. Okay, now you're gonna need some paint, and the key word here is enamel. This is usually sold as cabinet paint. You don't want wall paint for this, it's not durable enough. My favorite is Bare Cabinet and Trim Enamel Paint from Home Depot because it can be recoated in half the time of most brands and it cures really quickly. Speaking of paint, I didn't have enough black or green, but I had enough of both to paint this dresser. So I asked my AI of choice to show me different gradations of mixtures of those paints. It's also great at helping you decide if the color scheme in your head is really going to translate and look good in person. I had a lot of white paint, but I didn't like it on this. So I said, okay, let's try a black with stained drawers. That wasn't doing it for me either. How about all black? It needs something. How about stained feet as an accent? That's the one. That's what we're going to do. So here I'm thinning and straining the paint. Remember, thinning is important because thick paint just doesn't spray well. For water-based paints, you can just add water until it feels more like oil and less like syrup. Okay, let's talk hardware. So you got 2 options for spray guns if you're looking to spend under $100, air-powered or electric. If you already have an air compressor and it's near where you're going to be painting, that's a great budget option. If your air compressor has a built-in regulator, congrats, you can get the absolute cheapest one. If it doesn't have that built-in, not the end of the world, $30 will get you right. Now I have an air compressor in my shop, but I didn't really want to fire it up every time I needed to paint. Plus, I like the flexibility of being able to paint anywhere that there's an outlet, so I went with this electric one from HomeRite. Yikes at the tariffs. I paid $43 for mine in March. And I'm not sponsored, but I'll vouch that this brand is actually owned by Wagner. They make more high-end spray guns like what professionals would use, and their support team is also excellent. After the first coat, either hand sand or use an orbital sander just to knock down any texture. If you don't, any imperfections are going to build up like an oyster making a pearl. Don't forget to touch up the edges. There's a little peel action for anyone who made it this far. Once everything's cured, add your hardware, and just like that, you've given new life to whatever you want. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned to see what I save next.